Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Taking the Mystery Out of Business Insurance. I'm Rebecca Chauncey, Interim Director for the Illinois Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, at Build Bronzeville. So happy to have you with us today. This training is brought to you at no cost because it's funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the United States Small Business Administration, or the USSBA, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and the Urban Juncture Foundation. Just a housekeeping point today. If you have questions, please type them in the Q&A section, which you'll see if you hover over the bottom of your screen or move your mouse to the bottom of the screens and type questions there. If relevant in the moment, we will address them. And there's also time at the end of the presentation for Q&A. And I am so pleased to introduce you to today's speaker, Anna Maria VT Welch of the VITI Companies. We've had the great honor of working with Anna Maria and her team for a number of years now, and she has a wealth of knowledge in insurance. So make sure you are paying close attention, but also don't be afraid to ask any questions. She is more than happy to answer them. So I will pass the mic on, if you will, to Anna Maria.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. My company is a third-generation family-owned business. My grandfather started it in 1938. We are a broker, so we represent many insurance companies, and we're licensed in most states. I do these presentations at least 3 or 4 times a month, and the reason why I started doing this is because, and helping startups and small business, is because I used to hear a lot of times that when they call, agents wouldn't be calling them back, or they weren't tending to them how they should be, or treated, how they should be treated. I don't care if someone's paying $300 a year for insurance or $1 million. Everybody has a business, has, has been working hard, and they should really be treated like everybody else. So my company, we do full service. We do home and auto, business insurance for startups, and then up to about 100 million in sales. We do all types. I can even write cannabis dispensaries. And again, we have a variety of companies. It just depends on, what your business is. So I know that most everybody, I don't care if they've been in business for a month or 20 years, they all feel like this still. And hopefully after I'm done, my goal is to really give you information that you can use. I don't know how many people have insurance now or have launched their business, but if you've launched your business and you don't have insurance, after this seminar, I would definitely get on the phone and make an appointment, because you will see why. Anybody can sue for any reason. Even if it's not true, you still need an attorney, and you will see the products that can help you with that. Also, I know a lot of people don't want to call an agent because they don't know what to ask, but we should really be asking, and then questions will come up during the conversation. So let's start off with, an insurance agent. How did you get that person? Did you just go on the internet and find them? Hopefully, you have a referral or were able to get a referral from someone that had a good response and good professional relationship. I like to say, look at a doctor that helps your, mental, emotional, or physical health. You need to look at an insurance agent the same way, because they're looking at the life and the health of your business. And if you are small or just starting up, there's a lot of changes that will be made, especially with some of these policies that are based on sales in the future or your payroll in the future. You should have periodic checkups. Also, you should get good advice. I feel that the agent should be giving you bare bones and options, and you decide, because you don't have to decide on coverages right then and there. You can always add them later. Also, like I said, give you options and also build a relationship. That agent is going to be helping you through the years of you being successful and growing. And there are other types of coverages that you need to know about. But like with the doctor, if they don't give you the right information, the right options, the right medication, something seriously can happen to you. Same thing with an insurance agent. If they're just getting the bare minimum information from you and not giving you options and not letting you know what you can be covered for, and something happens, something can happen to your business. So make sure, and if you aren't getting called now by your agent, I would try either calling them back and asking them why, or go on to another agent. There are many insurance agencies around that call back quickly and really tend to what you're asking and getting back to you in a timely manner. I know people that wait 2 weeks. That's too long. It should be at least 24 hours and get back to you. I like to bring this up because a lot of people don't understand this. There's two type of insurance agencies. One is called a broker, and that means they represent many insurance companies. So you probably have heard of Travelers, Hartford, CNA, Zurich. That means, again, that they can shop for you. A captive agent has one company that they represent. So you've heard of State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, Geico, American Family. Now, I will let you know that the broker does not represent a captive agency, and the captive agency cannot represent these policies that a broker can. And I let people know that if you don't remember the names, when you're talking to your agent or getting a quote, ask them how many companies did they go to? How many companies did they shop to? And then you will know. Okay? So the first thing that people are going to ask you is, what is your business entity? Now, this sole proprietor means you're doing business under your own name, which is not a good idea. I try to let people know that as soon as they can, get an LLC or a corporation or a partnership set up. And I'll tell you why, because if you don't have insurance or you don't have enough, they can go after your assets. So if you own a car, a home, do you have money in the bank? Do you have a 401k or a pension plan? They can go after that. There's no protection. Another thing is an insurance agent cannot help you figure out if you should be an LLC or a corporation. That really determines by an accountant of how you file your taxes. What is best for your business? Like I said, unfortunately, we cannot help you with that, but we need to know which of these do you, is your business entity, and that needs to be shown on the policy as the named insured. The next thing, where's your business located? Are you working at a co-working space? Do you have a lease? Home office? Pop-up locations? Farmers markets? The reason why I bring this up also is because if you don't remember anything else, please remember this. Never sign a lease or a contract without sharing the insurance requirements with your insurance agent. I had an architect come to me and he didn't sign the contract. They wanted him to have $1 million of cyber liability. Now, why would he really need that for a project? So we said, go back and ask them either to waive that requirement, or let's give them $50,000. It'll cost you maybe $40 a year. Well, guess what? They waived it. If he would have come to me with a signed contract wanting $1 million of cyber liability, I'd have to get him a quote, and it would cost him thousands of dollars for really nothing. I had someone call me today who's going to be opening up a small restaurant. They signed the lease. The lease says $3 million of liability. That is going to cost. I probably could have guided that person and told them, go back to the landlord, ask for $1 million only. Now she's going to be paying thousands of dollars more Now, like I said, you want to be covered, but again, she's a startup. She's just opening. So you don't really want to have a lot of costs. So a co-working space, a lot of times you're just bringing your laptop, but there are some co-working spaces that want you to sign a lease or a contract. What is their insurance requirements? What if something happens? You want to make sure that you're not responsible, or if you are aware of that. Same thing with the lease. A lot of times, the lease is going to tell the insurance company if there's a fire, who's responsible for what? Who's responsible for the betterments and improvements and the property? Who's responsible for, the liability and how much? So make sure that your agent, if you have signed a lease and you have insurance, make sure that they went over this, because there are other terms like waiver of subrogation, additional insured, primary non-contributory. That's information that we need, and we need to add that onto your policy. A home office. Well, there are a lot of startups that have a home office, but hopefully, hopefully none of you are doing this, is you are relying on your homeowners, renters, or condo policy. They are not going to cover it except for maybe $1,000 of inventory or any business equipment you have. But for liability, it won't. That personal liability you have is only if something personal happens, like somebody falls out of a tree in your yard, or if you go hit a golf ball at a golf course and hit somebody in the head, your homeowners will cover that. But you don't want to be relying anything on the homeowner's, condo, or renter's policy. A pop-up location. I've seen a lot of these people that are allowing these businesses to come in for a month or two. They don't have any requirements. Well, we have questions that we can give to you to ask. What if there's a fire? Who's responsible? What if somebody trips and falls? Who's responsible? Also, farmers markets are pretty good now. They usually have requirements, and usually they want $1 million of general liability, and we will get into that. Okay. So the next thing is, what type of insurance do I need? Remember, this is a general presentation. If you want to talk about or you have questions on your type of business and we didn't go over it, please ask me. You can always email me. But these are just some of the coverages that I feel that every business really needs. The first thing I like to talk about is the package or the business owner policy. You don't need to know which one you are going to get if you do buy insurance, but I like to share these terms, the terminology, because you're going to be hearing this. This is the insurance company that's going to give you a package or a business owner policy. And it starts off with general liability. General liability is for bodily injury and property damage. Okay, so also it should include product liability. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're manufacturing a piece of equipment, or let's say it's a pen and somebody swallows it and blames you. That product liability is going to help cover you if you are sued. Any coverage that has liability in it, that means they're going to provide an attorney if you're sued. So the general liability, let's say somebody said, oh, I swallowed this and there's a lawsuit. This liability policy is going to provide you an attorney up to the limit. And usually we give startups $1 million. I don't go any lower than that. It's not even worth it. And it's not really that less expensive either. So if you do have general liability now, do you know what your coverage limit is? This is also going to help you if you are in a brick and mortar, and let's say the pipe bursts in your section or your location and damages next door. The general liability is going to help you with that. Do you have a deductible? Well, I will let you know, a lot of general liability policies don't have deductibles. If you're in the contractor, realm, usually there is a deductible on general liability, but you want to ask. This excludes cyber liability, which we're going to get into, and it excludes professional liability, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay. The next thing you can add on is the business personal property coverage. Do you have inventory? Do you have equipment? What is your coverage limit? Well, I will tell you, when I go in and somebody has a lot of equipment that they're not making and they have it to run their business, I need to know what the replacement cost is, because you're going to get replacement costs given to you. So let's say I have some people that say, oh, these are old desks, I got them donated. It doesn't matter. The company is going to give you replacement cost, same like, kind, and quality. So that old desk, figure out how much it's going to cost you. And that's what you need to add and include in the business personal property coverage. Now, I will let you know that a lot of startups self-insure, because a lot of times they have property under $3,000. So if something happens, they're going to cover that. And the reason why also is because you're going to have a deductible for sure. Usually it starts off at 500. I've seen 1,000 and 2,500. So, the deductible, you pay that first, the company pays the rest, and you're not going to make a claim for $500. I and our team would tell you, don't make a claim, because some of these companies now are so tight that any claims you have, they're going to drop you. And that means that the agent's got to find another company for you, and it might mean more money. If you do produce and you've got inventory, you're going to add up what the wholesale price is. Just so you know, insurance puts you back to where you are before. You're not supposed to be making money off of a claim. So just remember that too. Okay. The business interruption you can add. Do you have a brick and mortar? Are you a manufacturing company? Are you a catering company? Is your business going to be interrupted if there's a fire? Or does that have anything to do with it? Or water damage? Because this business interruption is going to keep you in business. They're going to pay for the rent that you can't pay for, the electric, the gas, also your sales. Now, I will tell you that you need to figure out what that limit is. And I will tell you that all coverages have a limit. And then after that, you're on your own. There is a time deductible on business interruption. And what that is it's either zero, so the business interruption starts right away. It could be after 24 hours, after 48 hours, or after 72 hours. Now, for my office, we're hybrid. So if this place burned, we are able to work from home. But I will tell you, after 72 hours, it's going to affect us. So that's when our business interruption starts. But imagine if you're a manufacturer or a caterer and have a big job that you're working on and something happens. You're going to want 0 or 24 hours. It just depends. Also, it's going to cost a little bit more money to increase or to lower that time deductible. So make sure that your agent is letting you know. If they don't, ask them what it is. Okay?
Excuse
So,
me, Anna Maria, we have a question.
sure.
And this person who typed the question, you may need to raise your hand, because I asked an additional question to get some clarity. The question is, what kind of insurance should a nonprofit have? And I asked the person, what kind of nonprofit do they actually have? Because there are various types. So for the person that asked this question, can you type, or you can raise your hand and I can give you permission to tell us aloud what kind of nonprofit you have or you're planning to have? Because then Anna Maria could probably better address your question.
And if they don't want to, I can just tell them generally.
Okay, here they go. They
Okay,
raised their
great.
hand. You'll have to
Hello.
unmute yourself, and then you can talk, please. There you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
My name is Arlene, and I'm opening up a shelter for women with or without children.
Okay. So what you're going to need is, if you're going to have a shelter, you're probably, are you going to own the building?
I'm not sure right now.
Okay. Well, let's just pretend you're going to be a tenant. You're going to lease.
Okay.
So you're going to want, like we talked about, you're going to want to make sure that you ask them for a lease and ask them what the insurance requirements are. And then, you can go over that with your agent. Another thing you're going to need to do is insure the inside, and that lease is going to tell you what you're responsible for. You're also going to need general liability for sure if somebody trips and falls and hurts themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need property coverage, I'm sure, because you're going to have equipment there and you're going to probably have beds and tables and that kind of thing.
Yes.
You're also going to need professional, and we're going to go over that. It's called error and emissions coverage. And
Okay.
that, because you're kind of providing a service, you could get sued for that. So you would need that.
Okay.
You're going to have probably employees or 1099s.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need workman's compensation. That's for injured employees, and it's a law to have it.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know if you're going to need $1 million for liability or maybe 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's a conversation. It just depends on, how large your space is, what your assets are going to be. And you're going to also need, which is very important, directors and officers coverage, which we're going to go over that. And that protects the directors or the officers that are on the board because
Yes.
they can get sued individually. So let's say a donor, and I'm going to go over this later, but it's called D&O insurance, which you definitely need.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the question.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about endorsements. These are just a couple of add-ons that you can add on to that package or business owner policy. This is hired and non-owned auto liability. And for the non-for-profit, if they are using their cars for anything for the non-for-profit and they don't have a business vehicle, but they're using their personal, you would need this to protect the business. So for instance, let's say, I'm driving my car for business, my personal auto, and I'm going to go pick up food for everybody. And I get in a serious accident and hurt that other person in the other car. The lawyer's going to sue me individually and my personal auto is going to cover it, but then they're going to sue my business or the business, because if your employees are driving and get in a serious accident, they're going to sue the business. And so if you don't have this hired and non-owned auto liability, you're going to have to get your own attorney. Again, this is something that can be added later. It's probably about $150 a year. Very, very important. Employment practices liability. If you have employees or 1099s, this is protecting the employer from the employee if they supposedly sue them for sexual harassment, wrongful termination, discrimination. This also protects the employer if the client sues them because they are saying that their employee is sexually harassing them or discriminating against them. Again, if you notice, these have liability. So if you're sued, they're going to give you an attorney up to the limit that you have. Property in transit. Are you a caterer? Are you delivering items? And they're, expensive items. And if you get in an accident or your car burns, you would need property in transit. Again, it's an add-on. Liquor liability. Are you having a special event? Are you doing BYOB? People don't realize that you need liquor liability because you are going to be responsible. If you are heading anything up like an event or, anything like that, guess what? The lawyer's going to sue everybody. And if you aren't protected for some of these things, then you are going to have to get your own attorney and protect yourself. This is also for a restaurant or catering if you get involved with it. Even if you didn't purchase the liquor and you're pouring it, you can be liable for that. Now, these are optional coverages. These are standalone policies. So here's this professional liability or E&O. Are you training, advising, or educating? And if you are, you can get sued for your services. And that general liability, remember, is only for bodily injury and property damage that happens, not your services, giving advice. This is, like I said, very, very important. My office, because we sell and service insurance, we add cars on, we give advice, we have a professional liability policy. The next thing is workman's compensation. It's based off of payroll and what that employee is doing, and that's how they get the rate. This is for anybody that's injured on the job that you hire. So whether it's a 1099, subcontractor, independent contractor, or a W-2, whether you're paying them cash, they work for one day and somebody gets hurt, they can still claim workman's compensation. Now, if you are the owner or the managing member of the LLC or the officer of the corporation, you can exclude yourself. But I would want to definitely get an option on how much it costs, because you are probably always working in your business. Even if you're in a car and driving and get in an accident, get hurt while you're working for the company, workman's compensation is going to pay for that. Okay? Benefits, if you're off more than 3 days, they pay 100% of your medical bills. I don't care if you get 1 surgery, 10 surgeries, there's no limit. If you're off, like I said, more than 3 days, they pay 2/3 of your salary. And if you are partially disabled, fully disabled, or if you die because of a work-related injury, they will give you a settlement or your estate. Okay, umbrella. A lot of people say, give me an umbrella over everything. All this is excess liability. So we talked about the general liability starts off at $1 million. If you need 2 million, 3 million or more, the umbrella starts off at $1 million. So when that, let's say, general liability policy is exhausted after the $1 million, the umbrella will pick up. If you don't have an umbrella, then you'll pay what the courts say you pay after the $1 million. I will let you know that most startups and small business, the only reason why they might have 2 million or more is because a contract or a lease asks them to. Like we talked about that client I talked to this morning. She has to buy 3 million. So her general liability policy will be $1 million, and she'll buy a $2 million umbrella policy to come to 3 million. Directors and officers liability. We'll talk about it first for a non-for-profit. Okay, let's say a donor donates, let's say it's a pet non-for-profit, and they want it to go to the dogs, and they feel that it didn't go to the dogs. That donor can sue the directors and officers of the board. Okay, and they'll sue them individually. This is the only policy that's going to cover them individually. So I tell everybody, never get on a non-for-profit board unless they have D&O or directors and officers liability coverage. This also protects a business if they have private investors, any type of investor. Because remember, you are acting as a board to them. So if you go out of business, or I'm sure that they invested in you because you made them a promise with the contract. Let's say you're going to give them 5% after 3 years, and you don't do that, and you breach the contract. They can sue you individually. And so you can get this D&O or directors, officers liability coverage to protect you from the investors. I feel the investor should be buying it under your name, because if something happens, how are they going to sue a business that's out of business or doesn't have enough money? It's going to protect them. Okay. Special event. I'm sure you've heard of the special event policies. We have people call us and tell us they have 1-day events or 3-day events. A lot of times, though, your own insurance, if you are the one that's having the special event and doing it under your name, business name, then a lot of times your liability policy can cover this. I would never do a special event under my personal name. I would never do business under my personal name. It's too risky. Okay. Any questions? Okay, we'll go on. So do you use subcontractors? A lot of people think that if they use 1099s, independent contractors, or subcontractors, they're off the hook if they do something and get sued or get hurt. No. You have to either get a certificate of insurance that shows proof that they have general liability and workman's comp. If they're a consultant, they should have their own professional liability. But I'll tell you, even yesterday when I did this presentation, somebody asked, well, what if I like that person a lot and they don't have insurance? Well, what you can do is you can get the insurance for them. They can be added onto your coverage, but you have to talk to your agent about it. They can get added onto your workman's comp. They can get added onto your liability. If you don't have professional liability and they are guiding or educating or, like I said, giving advice, you might have to buy a professional liability policy for them. So again, just make sure that these people have insurance, and if they don't, you're the one that's going to be responsible if something happens. Cyber insurance, a hot topic. This is not included. It can be added on to that package or business owner policy, or you can buy a standalone, and we will get to that. So the first thing I ask people, or your agent should be asking you, do you use a computer for your business? I really don't know anybody that doesn't use a computer or doesn't have their client's information, their name, their email address, maybe a phone number, maybe an address. That is called, personal information. Another thing is, are you going to be doing business over the internet, e-commerce? If your online sales, if your computer was shut down, would your online sales be interrupted? I have some clients that are 100% e-commerce. They do not sell out of a brick and mortar, their home. It's all online. So they would need this covered. Do you store any client's information like we talked about? You need cyber. Everybody needs it. You can get as little as $10,000. Okay? There are laws and regulations. It is a law for a business to protect their client's personal information. And we know nobody can do that. Okay? Each state has laws on how to notify a client about a breach. I know I just received something about a month ago from an insurance company that thinks they were breached. They had to send me a letter and let me know. And they also offered me credit monitoring. Well, they have to pay for that. And that's an expense. And I'm sure that's one of the state laws that they have. So if you're doing business in 3 or 4 different states, you would have to contact them and ask them, what do you require? Because I think that my computer was hacked and I have to notify my clients. The estimated cost is about $224. Well, a person, a customer. So imagine a life insurance company or Target or any of these, the government, having to pay that. And here's some statistics. It's pretty staggering. Only 17% of small businesses have cyber insurance. We as agents need to do a better job of letting people know, because I talk to people every day. I review their coverage. They don't have cyber and they said they never knew about it. Okay, make sure if you do have coverage that you have cyber. If you're going to be getting coverage, ask about it if they don't ask you. Okay. So these are some online exposures, data storage, like we talked about, emails. Has anybody ever received an email that went to you that shouldn't have and it had information? I have. Remote workers. I will let you know that a lot of times remote workers are using their laptop for your business, but they're also letting their kids use it, and they're also using it for personal use. And this happened to us. We had a penetration test and we had to purchase all new laptops for everybody during COVID because it was not safe. Third-party credit card vendor. Are you using that like PayPal or Stripe or Brightstar? You need to make sure or find out from the credit card company if they get hacked, are they going to let you use their cyber coverage, or are you going to have to do it for your clients? Ransomware, being taken hostage. You open up your computer, they say, hey, give me $10,000 or I won't give you back your information. This is real and it's all over the place. It's crazy. Now, if anything ever happens to any of you, and this happens, please find an IT person to help you get out of it. I had a non-for-profit get hit twice because the first time they panicked, they didn't want their donors to find out. They were scared. So they paid the ransom. Well, 3 months later, guess what? They came back. But you can get coverage for this. Lost business, like I told you, business interruption, legal fees, and fines. Your cyber liability can cover that. So what should you have coverage for? Well, I do have some small business and startups that just get expense. That's all they're going to take. But remember, like we told you, it is a law for a business to protect the client's personal information, so you can be sued. That cyber coverage can pay for liability and defense costs. They can pay for ransomware. They can be paid, they can pay business interruption. What cyber limits are best for your business? What can you afford? You should get options. Like I told you, it starts off at $10,000. Our startups, we give them $25,000 option and $50,000. But if they're online, I really like to start off at $100,000. But again, what can you afford? You don't want to be insurance poor. Here are the options like we talked about. You can add that liability coverage to your business owner or package policy. Most of the time, it's just expense. They're not going to have liability included. They're not going to have ransomware or business interruption. Okay. Option 2, you can buy a standalone policy. You can get more comprehensive coverage. It's a little bit more expensive, but a lot of these companies really have come down on coverage. But you also need to be safe, and they ask a lot of questions if you're going to go this far as having your own policy. And the application you fill out, you might have to have your IT person help you because of some of the questions that the company wants to know. So we're done with the coverage, and now I'm going to be talking about a couple other things. I don't know if anybody has any questions right now.
We have a question about if this person can get the slide deck for later review.
Yes,
are you okay with me sharing that? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Great. So this is a certificate of insurance that we talked about. So if you have 1099s or independent contractors, or you're working and contracting with people, you want to make sure they have insurance. Here, this person only has liability, and I think it's hired and non-owned auto. They don't have workman's comp because this is not filled out. Okay. So I would verify the policyholder, the coverage, the policy period is very important, and also the limits. And your agent can also look at this for you. And we give samples out too of what you need to ask your 1099s or your contractors. We even have people having work done in their location. So I would always ask for proof of insurance because you don't have control over what they are doing. And they're the ones that are going to be sued, and you're going to be included with that. And one thing you can do is ask them to add your name on as additional insured onto their policy. Because if you're dragged into the lawsuit, then you can use their insurance until it's exhausted and then use yours afterwards. Very important. You also might be asked for proof of insurance. This is the job of an agent to send this out. We probably send out 50 a day, and it should not cost you. This is the cost of us doing business, and the insurance companies are paying us. You don't need to pay. And I will tell you that you should be getting a certificate within 24 hours. Now, if you need it urgently, they should get it to you, but I'm sure all this proof of insurance that you're asking for is not urgent, just so you know. These are a couple other things I like to discuss with clients and prospects because a lot of times they don't really know the backstory of all this. First of all, do you know your agent? Okay, hopefully with me talking about this, you feel better or want to make your agent a better agent for you. And if not, go somewhere else. Business insurance is not standardized. What I mean by that is if you get a proposal from 2 or 3 different people, they're all going to be different. So I would use the agent that you feel really comfortable with and ask them to help you with the proposals. I will tell you, if somebody asked me and they were getting a better rate, I would tell them to go with them for sure. Another thing is when someone calls me up and says they've been to 2 other brokers, I usually take a pass and I let them know that because the insurance company for business insurance only gives out 1 quote. Everybody else is blocked. But if you had homeowners, health insurance, auto, life insurance, you can get the same company giving you a quote with the same premiums. It's just what's the relationship you have with the agent? Are they taking good care of you? And that's how you pick. But let's say I have Hartford and another business insurance agent has Hartford. Let's say I get my application in first and then they come and put their application in. Hartford's going to say, I'm sorry, there's another submission. You can't get a quote. The only way you can give up a quote or take it away from the agent that got in there is signing a letter called an agent of record letter. Okay. Contracts and leases, we talked about that. Never sign a contract or a lease without sharing the insurance requirements with your agent. And then comparing quotes and proposals, like I said before. You want to make sure that the same things are in there. I will let you know that some of these policies, like I told you in the beginning, are audited at the end of the policy period. The reason why is because they're based on sales in the future and they're based on payroll in the future. And for payroll for new businesses, how are they really supposed to know? So if you underestimate and they find out at the end of the policy period, you're going to pay at the end. If you overestimate, you're going to get a credit. But again, your agent should be reaching out to make sure that you're not paying at the end. Now, I know that we reach out to a lot of our clients and they don't want to hear or they don't respond. So we only can do so much, but you really want an agent to be working for you. No matter if you're paying $350 or $1 million a year. And I will let you know also that you really, like I said, want to feel comfortable, like I've said before. Okay? The presentation's done. I hope you feel better. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but they can contact me anytime by phone or email, and I would be more than happy to help you. Thank you.
Okay. Anna Maria, please keep that slide up. We
Yes.
have another question.
Great.
And that's, how do you feel about flip insurance for food-based businesses?
Okay, flip is if you ask them for more than just general liability and they are reasonable, they are probably not going to be able to help you. So for instance, if somebody wants you to add them on as an additional insured, they're probably not going to be able to help you. Or if you need hired and non-owned auto liability, I don't think they have it. That's really for basic insurance.
So
But they
then,
have good companies.
sorry, and the connected question is, what should be included in insurance coverage for a food-based business?
Well, you should have general liability that includes product liability. Most everybody should have cyber. I don't think they offer cyber either. I'm not sure, but even $10,000 worth. And really, if you are a small caterer, that's really it. I mean, you really should maybe look into hired and non-owned auto liability because I'm sure that you are driving either to go get the ingredients or you might be driving to drop off if you're a caterer and you really need that hired and non-owned auto liability. Okay. I hope that helped.
Yes, thank you, everyone. As Anna Maria said, this is your opportunity to ask any questions before we wrap up today's session and I give you some or make final points. Any other questions? Okay, well, as you heard from Anna Maria, you can certainly reach out to her and the team at the VITI Companies as needed via email. You can visit their website or give them a call. And also, if you haven't already become a client of ours at the Illinois SBDC at Build Bronzeville, you can reach out to us via email or visit the website. You can even, for those of you that signed up for today's training, you will go into that same portal, e-center, and you can become a client. Note that we only serve clients who are with for-profit businesses due to our reporting requirements to the SBA. So you have to have a for-profit business that is not cannabis-based, and we can assist you.
And I'll tell you, consulting is no charge, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Wonderful. Wow.
Yes. No cost, as we say.
Wonderful.
And you will receive, as you heard earlier, you will receive the slide deck for today's presentation so you can review that information at your convenience, and you'll receive a recording of today's session too with the survey. So please complete that survey. There will even be space for you to provide recommended training for future sessions. We love to provide training that is relevant and helpful for clients and their business success. And again, we thank you for your time and attention. Many thanks to Anna Maria for once again providing amazing information and in a very clear and relatable way. So I know that all the attendees and those who will watch the recording later will learn more and reach out as needed.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending.
Yes. Take care, everyone. Continue to have a great day.
Yes. Bye-bye. Much success in your business. Thank you.
Bye.